Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Seconds remaining.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the TI5 China Qualifiers. We're in the grand finals, and EHOME, the favorites coming in, according to pretty much everybody. They're leading 1-0 Sin, but it was not as easy as we thought it would be after the way that draft developed.
Definitely not. I think if CDEC can perform like that with a weak early game and then pull it together in the mid game like they did, I'm feeling more confident now about them at least winning one game. Like I said before the series, I think 3-1 for EHOME seems reasonable, and I said very confidently game one is not the game they're going to win. But they came pretty close. They almost
really
Rex top. If they get the Rex there in a couple of fights, just they get like one extra kill, it might have opened up for pushes. And EHOME in that game, if they would have had to play 1 or 2 Rex down, I don't think they would have won.
Well, of course, we're not alone. We're joined once again by Frodo, and I don't know what they're calling you now over on the Mango stream, but no longer Alfalfa anyway. Welcome back, guys.
Hello.
It's time for game 2. The draft has actually gotten started, so.
My main worry for CDEC is they came close in game 1.
Did you hear Ted's impression?
No, it's just God's hair was like before the last game. No. He had this funny thing with his hair, and then he had his headset off and he put it back on. And his hair was completely normal. I was like, God, your hair looks normal. He's like, oh, all right, let me fix that. And then he just takes it and makes a complete mess against it. I don't know if you can see on camera. It looks really funny from my angle. All right, anyway, go ahead.
We're into the draft now. And
so CDEC come close in game 1. The thing is, they could go and tilt. Maybe they gave their role in game 1.
Look at this. Yeah. They ban Earthshaker first phase. That is not a hero that's getting first phase priority in pretty much any other draft. That is pure respect for LATAM, it feels.
And EHOME didn't first phase pick it either, that game. They picked it fourth.
Third or fourth, yeah. I think it was fourth.
Yeah, they picked Lesh third. Wait, no.
The other way around.
Yeah. Lesh was fourth.
I feel like CDEC do have a lot of respect for Earthshaker as a hero in general, like we were talking about in the draft of the first game, and after that performance from Lamb, you don't want to be giving him that hero again. So I think it makes sense. It does leave potentially the ROTK Clockwork through into the pool. And the one thing I want to talk about a little bit for CDEC that worked really well in the previous draft is, and the one criticism that everybody's kind of brought against them in this qualifier is that they've played well, but they've played predictably. They've picked staples of even past metas, and they've had a couple of heroes for each player, but that's kind of been it. And I feel like in the previous series and now getting into this one, we've seen them mixing things up a little bit, and that seems to be the right approach to take, I think, against EHOME, because we tend to agree that role by role, EHOME do tend to have the better players in general.
Yeah, I think that's right. EHOME going to go with a Clockwork Gyrocopter opener. They've done this a few times, kind of the substitute maybe for the AA with the Clockwork as their opening 2 picks, but very solid, great team fight, really nice synergy between these 2 heroes with the hookshot Cogs initiation, setting up a pretty straightforward cooldown potential, so for EHOME it's very standard stuff. CDEC though get Rubik, which acts as a pseudo Clockwork counter.
Yeah, you can lift them up, throw them out of the cogs, and just even use them against him, depending on where exactly they're placed.
It's often also fairly easy to steal call down. It's one of those abilities where a lot of the time either Gyro casts call down from far away and doesn't want to use battery assault yet, rocket barrage. I don't know. I'll never learn. Do you have the same thing? Do you also? Okay, all right, it's just me. So either he casts it from far away and you won't use the rocket barrage, or he goes in first and uses rocket barrage and then call downs. And then stealing call down at that point, it's a very clear audio cue when it goes off, and that could be a key ability. But Clockwork has also got a couple of good abilities to steal, but I feel like most of the time these teams pick Rubik, they don't really, they pick it so early, they're not picking it for the spell steal anyway. Well, obviously they are, it's a big part of the hero, but it's not like, yes, this is the spell we want, we're definitely getting it for that. They're getting it no matter what.
5 seconds remaining.
I don't know, still a first phase pick. It was first phase in the last game for EHOME, I think.
And I do find this interesting from EHOME. Last game they won against the Brood. They did not have great solutions for it though. We saw particularly the lack of catch was the big problem, and they have okay catch with Clock, but he doesn't match up that well against Brood in general. So they're just going to go ahead and ban it out. It seems like they want to try to cut down on shenanigans this game, which is where you want to take out that pesky spider.
Yeah, this is what I was expecting. Like we talked about, the Broodmother bought a lot of time for CDEC, and even though they beat it, it's a distraction if it's still in the draft. You tend to focus a little bit too much on the Brood from time to time. It's a relief when you ban it, because then you're like, all right, then that hero that can mess with a lot of drafts and can catch you completely off guard in the end, you don't even need to worry about it. So I don't know if there's anything else EHOME really needs to ban. That's the other thing. I don't see any CDEC hero in here that you're like, oh wow, this is just the pick for them. For me, the pick for CDEC is Drow, and they get rid of it in the first phase. And then Undying, I don't think they're banning it against CDEC, they're banning it against the meta itself. And after that,
yeah. The one hero that is out there right now is Wisp, which some teams have been using quite a bit. Do you guys see Wisp as a possibility for either team?
Only really for EHOME, with Lamb being the big player there. CDEC, not a team who run much Wisp. I've seen maybe one game from them in the past month or so with the hero, but it's definitely not something where they go to and feel comfortable with.
It's a bit difficult against Queen of Pain just because of how much burst she brings to the table. And often they
does work nicely with Gyrocopter if they want. The Wisp Tiny combo is even available as a duo, but
there's also, well, I mean, technically there's actually a Bristleback plus Wisp out there, which is normally we don't see both available going into the second stage of the draft.
I'm a little bit surprised that EHOME banned that Lifestealer, because I feel like the Clockwork helps to cover the Gyrocopter somewhat with regard to his weakness.
I really think they view Lifestealer as just a very good counter to Gyro, because this is 2 games in a row that they've banned him out after picking Gyro first phase.
Yeah, I know that EHOME themselves definitely look towards the Lifestealer a lot as a way to answer Gyrocopter, so I think that's probably motivating things somewhat here.
Other hero that's out there is Storm. No big lockdown heroes. CDEC actually banned the Lion, which is good against Queen of Pain in general, but it looks like maybe the Ward strat is the way EHOME want to go. They get the Shaman. No guarantee they need to. This could just be a casual Shadow Shaman pick. Gives them a little extra push.
Good lockdown against the Queen of Pain. I mean, extremely punishing if you jump in and get Hex Shackles. There's very little chance that you're escaping from that, so
I could see EHOME just going back to that mid track again. It was a hero that worked out pretty nicely for them in game 1. They don't have the Earthshaker, which worked as a really nice setup and just teamfight crowd control to allow give Leshrac the room to run in, but Clockwork can kind of fill that niche, I feel, this game if they want to run another Leshrac.
Yeah, even something like a Dragonite is an option, maybe a little bit weak laning wise, but
if they want to push,
but if they want to push, that's definitely kind of an option.
CDEC pick number 3 now. Haven't really shown much as far as their overall game plan with this Queen of Pain Rubick. It is a bit on the generic side, which is usually how you want to start your drafts. They will take the Lesh.
Okay. I was about to say, what do you think about them getting Lesh? And now it's like, so now they have a lot of magic damage, but they can play the Quap as physical, like last game, which they did in aggressive. I think they're going to take the same approach now already with this, or it's a support Lesh. But I was like, if there's no Clockwork here, I actually thought Leshrac was a really good pick as a core. Even though you don't have an obvious physical damage dealer, Leshrac and Quap together can buy time to get into late game and get a physical damage Quap up. But Clock is one of the best counter picks available against Lesh, so maybe they're hoping that the Rubick can protect the Lesh and get the Clockwork out of the cogs. And it's also a deny pick. Now it doesn't go EHOME's way for that push strat. Yeah. I think EHOME just picked the Pugna now. It's gone like, there we
There's your Pugna.
Very close.
This is
a better Pugna game than the last one. Yeah, they won a mech carry, I guess.
Well, Pugna
so did
can. Yeah.
Pugna got it last game.
I think for the 5-man push, they've got enough tower damage with Shadow Shaman. They're probably thinking, and
the ward is amazing this game,
here, really. You know?
I guess that's the one area where Shadow Fiend's not bad. It's just like, God, if there's ever a good Pugna game, it's this. 3 heavy incasters already.
I really think EHOME could have gone for the thing we saw earlier in the tournament, where they get a generic opener and then the ward strat. I think that exact strategy would have actually worked.
Shaman, Jug, Pugna.
Shaman, Jug, Pugna. And the reason I said they should pick Pugna now is that I think it will be CDEC's next ban.
Now you probably ban this.
Or no, never mind, not
I don't
anymore.
think so.
No, they need a support.
Yeah, they need a support. And I think that's where they didn't want the
That's one of the
Pugna.
big stuff, yeah.
The Pugna is very vulnerable in the mid
10
lane. He's a lot
seconds
squishier than
remaining.
the Shadow Fiend.
Well, are you?
Oh, yeah, they
100
would have had to play the Jugger as support, actually, if they went
5
that. So
seconds.
There is a Wisp out there. If they want, they could try to do like a Rubik Quap bottom, Bristleback Wisp off, and then run this Leshrac
Reserve
mid. You
time.
mentioned Core Lash a little risky against Clockwork in general, but the EHOME aren't thinking that. They're going to leave it out
Radiant
there,
team
and
ban.
Witch Doctor will be the ban instead.
Shadow Fiend just dies under his tower to a Bristle Wisp mid as
Yeah.
well. I think we've seen that a couple of times.
That's true. They could go
in
mid
recent
as well.
tournaments. I mean, even Viper just totally dies to
10
the Bristle Wisp
seconds
on the mid lane.
remaining.
That does mean that CDEC would have to shuffle their lanes around a little bit, maybe like offlane Quap,
5 seconds remaining.
Rubik Lash safe lane if Lash is
Or-
going to end up being a core, but
Yeah.
it's an option.
Reserve
I'm
time.
just curious if CDEC won, because it's been out there all game. They obviously didn't think it was worth an early pick.
Yeah.
EHOME do need a support, but they're going to be going first here. So what do they want? There's a Disruptor. Shaker's been banned. Feels like it needs to be a fairly decent
Dire
laning support,
team
seeing this Bristleback and Queen of Pain coming out.
I do like the
banned
Chen
Chen.
ban.
That's
Yeah,
good.
Chen would have been a great last pick. Something that none of these teams run much outside of Wings, who we saw do a couple Chen picks, but it would be such a good 5th pick with this draft. Chen great against the spread damage. We got Quills, Leshrac AoE, Fade. All 4 of these heroes are spread damage. And that's where Chen with Hand of God mech. I mean, maybe the Shadow Fiend goes mech. Whoever you'll have a mech on someone.
10
Just counters
seconds
this draft
remaining.
so well.
It's a tree for EHOME against the
Radiant
Living
team
Armor.
pick.
Or, sorry, against the Edict. Is a bit weaker there, but
Let's just don't go Edict anyways until much later
I mean,
on.
I think you probably want a value point. Level 1's enough to break it.
I don't think this is a very good Treant pick. Just if you look overall in the game, Treant Shadow Shaman as a support duo can work really well if you get Leech Seed into Shackles and it sets up for a kill somewhere, but it also puts pressure on them. These two heroes really, in my opinion, really need levels. You can play Treant
10
without
seconds
Overgrowth, but
remaining.
come the early part of the mid game, I feel like you need to have it, else you're a walking living
5
armor, and that is
seconds
really
remaining.
underwhelming. Shadow Shaman obviously needs the wards, and on the other side, like you
Reserve
said, there's
time.
Edict. In my opinion, they have a lot of spread damage. They also have Shadow Strike against the Treant armor. They just have a lot of damage sources that are going to come in and very quickly get rid of the armor.
Quills, which are
Quills
pretty
are-
fast.
Yeah, and they're pretty weak on the first couple of instances, but still remove living armor stacks. And EHOME don't have an obvious frontliner that they can just siege towers with. They don't have like a Dragon Knight or something that they put living armor on and they just
10
go and hit a
seconds
tower. Shadow
remaining.
Fiend is at risk. If he gets lifted by Rubik, I actually think he can die in a burst,
5 seconds
even with living
remaining.
armor on. So,
It's a brew for CDEC. This is
support.
Okay, so support Lash.
That is a very good pick as well. This time I favor CDEC's draft. I think they got a way better draft, both for themselves. I think their lineup itself has better synergy between their heroes, and it's also better against what EHOME are trying to do. The Shadow Shaman wards, they're obviously looking to try to push towers with that and living armor. Both of those heroes tend to fall off past minute 30. They're like really impactful minute 15 to 30 with the wards and the overgrowth, and then it gets weaker. They have solutions for that period of time. They have Brewmaster, who's perfect for that time in the game. Leshrac support with a couple of levels with Lightning Storm should be able to hold towers, and they scale pretty well into late game. Quap and Bristleback, and Leshrac could even become a core if they want to.
Yeah, potentially it's a quad core with one of the best playmaking supports in the game, and the Rubik
10
remaining.
seconds remaining.
Talk to me about the Brewmaster pick, guys. We've not seen much of this hero in the
5
tournament.
seconds remaining.
He used to be viewed as like one of the best ways to counter heavy push, because you push, if Brew is blank and he goes in with split, he can just blow you up before it ever gets going. Is that the main reason for this pick? Do you see any particular motivation to go for him now when he hasn't been popular?
That's one of the big ones. He's good at team fighting as well, so I think he just brings a lot of control to the table, which they maybe felt they were lacking. There is a Shadow Shaman who can get an insta-hex off him, so he has to be careful when he blinks and he doesn't get insta-locked down and blown up, but the burst damage on the Dire side was what, like Shadow Fiend? Shadow Fiend Gyrocopter is pretty decent. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit dangerous from the perspective that Gyrocopter and Shadow Fiend, they're going to be going for early BKBs anyway, and BKB is always a big item to talk about against Brewmaster because he pops the ultimate, but you pop BKB and there's very, very little that he can do. So I think it is being played by aggressive, so it's probably going to get safe lane farm, and that means that he is going to have his blink dagger up at a decent time to get impact in before those BKBs come out. But it seems like an alright pick, though I think it is a little bit risky. Like you were talking about, there's the Shadow Shaman lockdown to worry about as well.
So Sin said he thinks CDEC has a much better draft this time. Do you guys agree? Do you
I mean, much better for themselves than last time.
It's much easier to
but
execute.
It's better than EHOME's in this game, too.
Okay.
It's much better for them, but it's not much better than EHOME's.
Okay, so you think the drafts are even, but it's a much better CDEC draft.
Yeah.
No, they have a better draft than EHOME as well, but not a much better one.
I'm okay
better,
with
but
EHOME's
not
draft outside of the Treant pick. I think there were better heroes. If they wanted to sustain maybe a Dazzle or something, but I still think EHOME's draft is fine. The
30
Shadow Fiend pick
seconds
is
to
just
battle.
a staple of CTYs, and I think they don't have a good way of dealing with the Shadow Fiend this game.
All right, well, with that said, we're going to take the reins here, Sin. CDEC moving into EHOME's jungle, looking to get aggressive early on. Shiki leading things off for now. Looks like our Shadow Fiend will be heavily rushing the bottom. He's going to pop a single Quill, trying to get in on RTK. He's got Aggressive about to join him, and they are trying to get the double rune, it looks like. 4 top, there's 1 just sitting bottom 4. They're going to lift RTK, drop him onto the cliff. What a way to start the game. And now they look for C2I. This could even be the first kill. They're going to get double bounty rune. They might get the kill. They do. The Shadow Fiend falls. Aggressive potentially pays the price here. A little bit of frame dropping coming out, and the left stun secures the retreat. Ends up in the end being a 1-for-1, but with a cliff to RTK and a double bounty rune going the other way.
That is the dream for CDEC. That was really good. They even got the first blood, right? They cliff, they get 2 runes, they get first blood, and the hero they lost was a support. No, wait, it was Bristleback, but he's instantly back in the lane. I guess he just bought a TP and came in, so nothing really lost in that regard. He will be playing mid lane against the Shadow Fiend of CTY. Well, the courier is delivering a TP to RTK, but unfortunately it doesn't know how to throw it up the cliff. So
I think there is a place on the cliff where it can get there, though.
this is always funny to see.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Thank you.
All right. Not the worst then. He's actually getting.
And the lane is pushing.
Oh wow, XC is pushing.
Oh.
So
Normally you'd want to be kind of denying a bit more there. Try to get your range creep killed off quicker, but I don't know if he was there in time to ensure the equilibrium. Well, actually, no, he was the one who got the bottom
I
rune,
guess
so
no
he
one
should've been.
distorted it either,
Yeah.
so it should just be meeting evenly. Maybe he was thinking, okay, clock is cliffed, I want to push as fast as possible to force rotations down here from a support, and that will open up top, but RTK does get the TP down. Do you think that they should have tried to keep Q there with Rubik and prevent him from TPing out? Did they even have a ward? So they couldn't. They did not.
They
right?
did not. I guess
No,
that's...
then they can't do it.
Yeah, they've got the one ward bottom. Where did their other ops get placed? Are they still holding it?
It's in the top lane,
Okay.
right behind green. There.
There you go.
That's a great
Pretty
ward
good
when
ward,
you're playing
actually.
aggressively. This is a good aggressive ward for the Radiant. It generally doesn't get counter-warded because the Dire usually have to use their sentries, at least one of them for the pull spot, and the other one you tend to put around the jungle area to the right of the lane.
Uh-oh. RTK is taking a beating here, bottom lane. Already the magic stick out for XC. He's got the level 2 Shadow Strike. He wants an early kill. Won't be a first blood regardless, but RTK able to make it back, bottle up, and heal for now. We'll see the Bristleback holding his own here with Shadow Fiend, but not really able to dominate him. See us going well for the friend of Shadows. There haven't been many stacks here. I guess that's the one thing EHOME want to try to find some time to do, is get the jungle stacked up for the Shadow Fiend, find a little space for the Gyrocopter over near the Ancients. Probably not this second, but this is where the aggressive tri-lane does keep the supports bottled up top. And Sin, we haven't really talked much about the tri-lane. How do you feel the teams match up here? Do you give either team an edge? Is it just down to execution? What are you thinking?
This is a pretty close lane. I think EHOME's is stronger if they manage to get the engage away from creeps. They just need Rocket Barrage to reliably hit a hero, and then Leech Seed is going to keep them alive fairly well. Of course, the Shackle. That's the thing, if CDEC engage on anyone else than Shaman, he'll be able to shackle the Brew, and then they lose a lot of their damage. Then the question is whether they go on the Brew to kill him or they go for one of the others, but they definitely have some decent lockdown in that regard. But even, let's just say CDEC don't fight them, right? They just hold the lane. If EHOME aren't stacking because they need to constantly help out the Gyro, that's a huge win for Bristle, because then he stays ahead or even with the Shadow Fiend mid.
And it looks like they're winning that top lane quite handily, as our Brewmaster is 19-11 to a 5-0 Gyrocopter.
This is really, really good for CDEC this early game. They already had 1,500 gold.
Jeez. Well, like you said, dream start. They cliff the clockwork. He's got to buy a TP, waste precious time and experience. They get the first blood. They get the double bounty rune, and now they're winning the CS battle. It really is the dream. There's just no other way to put it. That said, it's a dream that can quickly get turned around. There's heavy burst on the EHOME side. They've got a big team fight later on this game, and it looks like the key hero's got to be the clockwork for them. They've got 2 damage dealers here in the Gyro, the Shadow Fiend, but there's a bit of a move forward here by XZ. Doesn't want to jump on RTK just yet. They're trying to soften him up for a potential go later on.
This is one of the worst lane matchups for Clockwork. So I think CDEC put their lanes very well. They're winning 2 lanes. They're drawing mid, which is Shadow Fiend versus melee hero. Might have spoken too soon.
Not for long.
He's got the haste
The body
still.
blocks from Lanham. This is going to be real tough for Shiki. There's your raise.
Oh, Clockwork got the kill.
That's kind of unfortunate.
But I don't know.
Oh, actually, it gets him his boots almost.
He gets level 5. And considering how much he's getting destroyed in this lane, getting level 6 is actually going to be pretty difficult.
And
so
Shadow Fiend still ultimately gets the experience there, so.
Clock still shares it, right?
Yeah.
So he gets a third of it.
Yeah. Which is ultimately CTY still going to be at least slightly ahead mid off of this. And Clock catching up nicely.
Yeah, hero levels very even. The only discrepancy, of course,
Radiant's
Clock
middle
being
tower
behind the
is
level
under
against
attack.
Quap is to be expected, especially when you get cliffed. And apart from that, EHOME are just getting their farm on this Shadow Fiend. I'm worried for them though if this Gyro doesn't start finding farm, that CDEC hit this sweet spot when Brew gets the blink after these treads, which, you know, he's probably only getting these because it's an aggressive trial lane and he wants to be able to pressure in the lane. But when all of CDEC's lineup comes together, say minute like 12 or 13, do EHOME even have the power to fight them back?
It's going to be tough to say. It looks like CDEC don't want to get to that point without having some additional action, it seems. They're going to smoke. Thinking about a wraparound. Instead, they're going to plunge straight up the lane. Well, thinking about that. Now heading towards top. A little indecisive about where they want to go. They also took a while just to get the smoke going. They moved from that top tower down over, like, below their Ancients, waited for a courier delivery, then popped the smoke. And they're hoping ROTK might walk in. They're going to actually reveal this thing, and they don't get the lift off. Haven't shown Garter, but with the Rubik being revealed, the jig is basically up at this point. There's no hook shot yet, although RTK is not going to lack for confidence despite it. And in the end, it seems a lot of wasted time for CDEC, actually, and CYF will be happy to take this. Finally, they reassemble the tri-lane. Not getting a huge
Gyro's
amount
in trouble.
Well, this could change up. Flip right back into the clap. The follow-up coming. Lashrak stun misses, but I think they get the kill anyway here. They do. Still, a little bit closer than what
Nice
they were
lane
hoping
ward.
for.
The lane ward expired now, but that's set up. They knew exactly where Gyro was and saw the opening for Rubik to come in from the side. Get a free kill. They can't get the tower. Obviously, it's full health for now, but do put pressure, of course, forcing probably a rotation up here from Trian, who's currently playing in the Radiant jungle. I'm not sure what he's trying to accomplish. Did he ward down there? Yeah, he did. Okay, because they can't kill the Quap at all. And they also can't kill the Bristle, realistically. They got that 1 kill in the lane, which was good. But if he's hovering anywhere near 3/4 health, it's never going to happen.
It does feel like EHOME are going to be much more the defensive team for the first 10-15 minutes of this game. Once the Brew blinks online, they get the Bristle's first item, and the Queen of Pain just tanks up, gets her levels. CDEC want to run at you at that point with the split, and EHOME much more about farming their Shadow Fiend, clearing out stacks with Gyro, getting the Shaman level 6. It just feels like a much more reactionary lineup, and it's going to be CDEC looking to make moves around the map. But first move didn't really work with the smoke, and now the hookshot's online. This is the one ability that could make some plays and set things up for EHOME.
I think they're going to need RTK to play a good game. This time around, the Trian and Shaman are level of
They found Lanham, lift, stun, that one hits, and down Lanham goes. And they bottled a haste rune on Bristle. This could be huge.
Oh yeah, you could dive Shadow Fiend at some point if you want. They got level 5 on DDC Shadow Shaman for EHOME, so
the supports are getting well.
That's okay. They're slightly ahead, but Gyro's still losing on farm.
I think that's okay given how valuable the Shaman 6 is, though.
Yeah. I would say so.
And Tree, you mentioned, it's really good to get levels on the support, but I mean, if you're going to sacrifice one, he's probably one of the better supports to do it on. He's not an ancient apparition or Sand King type of hero where they simply have to get stuff accomplished and get their levels fairly early. There's a move now towards the top lane. CDEC bringing in their Rubik Leshrac duo. They have another smoke available. Q and Garter trying to find places to make aggression happen, but just nobody really opening things up here on EHOME. They're not pulling. They didn't actually see this movement, but they just know these supports are off the map. Everybody's got to be playing safe. So they've got somebody parked mid the tree, protecting the Shadow Fiend. They have a Clock who, I mean, is not the hero that CDEC's likely to gank, and also is difficult to kill anyway, so he's left alone. But in general, just they're playing keep away nicely, and meanwhile their Shadow Fiend is racking up the CS. 67 creeps. And rising.
Yeah. Is that his full mech?
It's got to be close.
They don't like negate each other, but there are two very important item timings in this game. If either of them was significantly ahead, it will result in probably 1 or 2 towers claimed for the team and none for the other. And the question is if EHOME can hold this.
Yeah, the Rocket spotted aggressive moving to that side shop, so that's why he saw he's under the Rocket Flare and doesn't try to make. Oh, thought our Queen of Pain might make a go bottom, but not the case. Oh, now she is. On to RTK, tries for the TP out. XZ has the ulti. With the Brew Blake, so I think RTK was expecting everyone to be there, and it looked like it was just the Rube.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
Appall upon my life.
Reduce to your elements.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Drums.
Good question.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Yes.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
That clear waves quickly, but not that many that are...
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Back to the imperial.
I find you!
You remind me of my old
To the other side. Don't come back. Rock it on!
I want to soften up the wards.
Rest to the ancestors.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Opposite direction, Garter now. Think.
And it's off!
Dire's top tower is under attack. Roshan has fallen to the tower.
Goes in and lifts Treant.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen.
A little bit of momentum. see.
Wait. I never touched the stuff.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
An ability to have, and now they have a way to. Comes out, it hits the brew aspect. More than hunting RTK, Blink Street.
Coming in.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
tithe to the impurities.
With flair. Incoming!
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Regeneration!
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Homing in.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Our roleplay ends.
Rock it on.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack. Roshan has fallen to the Dire.
Big fun under the map. Serpent wards that were in the area, but
There it goes.
I think in that case, CDEC at least get 1 or 2 kills with their Bruce play.
Well, unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. And again, this is just the importance of having a Hex, whether it was a Lion or... It increasingly seems like the Shaman is the preferred of the 2 Hex initiators for the Chinese teams. We've seen it more and more as the qualifier moves along. Perhaps Shadow Shaman's making a comeback. It certainly feels that way. And he seems to be a pretty effective support, at least for this team. They used it once in the group stage. They won that game convincingly. I don't know that they want to first pick it or anything like that, but just sneaking it in a bit later on has reaped some bountiful rewards for
Radiant's top
them.
tower is under
And now
attack.
Sind, they're going to look for more towers. With this Aegis Intel, ZYF having picked up a Demon Edge, they're going to take a tower top for free. They'll probably defend bottom here.
Radiant's
They're
top
starting
tower
to
has fallen.
cement their lead, and I'm just looking at the net worth disparity, not
Dire's
really of the
bottom
cores,
tower
although
is
that's
under
substantial, but these support heroes, that Shadow Shaman is almost doubling up the Rubik and the Lesh.
That is really unusual. That is Shadow Shaman. Lesh has really good farming potential, but they haven't really been giving him any priority. He has 28 CS minute 29. That is abysmally low. Sometimes you'll see support Leshrax actually getting up to like over 100, maybe even 150 CS at this point if you give him some priority. He can jungle pretty quickly. If you get either a Eul's or a Bloodstone build up for some mana regen, it's pretty effective. But Garter has really been supporting this game on the Lesh, and that's becoming a big problem now for CDEC, because where is the damage coming from? They have a Quap with a drum, which I still don't feel like is doing. I don't feel like it's doing anything. He has an Orchid. He's now building into BKB, no damage items. Bristle, Mech, BKB, no damage items. And the Brew ult is becoming really weak at this point. This is when he starts to fall off as a hero already. They lost the stage that they drafted to win, and now comes the hard part. Who's gonna kill him?
It's tough to say. This is the stage of the game where EHOME are also very strong, because they've got their BKBs up on their two big carry heroes. The Clockwork has his 4-step. He's about to complete an Ags, and he's just going to go right now. Finds Q, and see you later, Rubik. No buyback available. Cheeky TP's in, but he gets hexed instantly. Trapped now with the call down going through the Requiem. He does get off the BKB still. He's just getting auto-attacked down. Oh, CTY finally will get it off. Bit of lag again, and they're just going to right-click him down. I think that was the Solar Crest. Oh, there's Alexi! He almost got the kill. He gets nothing. They finally got the clock, but that was it. 3-4 dead, buyback on Bristle. EHOME might just be punching their ticket to game 3 at this rate. This just looks very, very one-sided at this point.
Yeah, the Gyro still has the Aegis. He's probably just going to let Shiki kill him, because why not? He might as well use it now.
That's Solar Crest, man, doing more. DDC.
Oh, if they find him again, this is over.
Uh-oh. Looks like the stun will sort of help him survive for now. Land him suddenly left behind, but I think they could re-engage here, honestly, with ZYF.
They play it safe. They got the tower.
They force out the buyback as well, worth mentioning again.
4 for 1,
Boink.
tier 3 buyback, so essentially 5 for 1, if you will. That's another big gold swing. This has got to be closing in on a 10,000 lead at this point, I think, for EHOME. Actually, more. 12K. Same on the experience. They had a hard time in the early game. They were losing their lanes. CDEC put their lanes, in my opinion, the ideal way. It's looking really good for them, and they just lost their way in the mid game this time around. EHOME outplayed them twice in a row. And then that fight is actually kind of unwinnable. After the hook shot, CDEC kind of need to react, and Shaman is just on the money with the Hex.
And that's what we talk about when we discuss just veteran poison experiences. You know, it might sound just like a soundbite, but this is what happens so often when it comes to big matches like this. Is the teams that have a lot of younger players who have tons of talent, and they have good team cohesion. It's not like CDEC are a bunch of pub stars who have no coordination or strategy. It's just tough to always make the right call in those clutch moments. And EHOME just have been pretty much picture perfect in those really big decisions. If they lose this game after the start they had, I just feel like it's going to be a 3-0 at that point.
I don't think they can expect a better beginning than this.
It's so hard not. I mean, as a former player, it just must be so hard not to go on tilt if you're in this position, right?
Yeah, keeping the team morale up is the hard part. And it also comes down a lot to player personalities. Some people don't really get phased at all. It's kind of the same thing. It's interesting because you can start overthinking it when you lose a game, and it can be good and it can be bad. Sometimes you come up with some great ideas, and other times you completely mess up. You overthink it, and you try to solve problems that aren't even there. It's something that you generally see a lot from emotional teams. The best example I have right now is a team like Cloud9, who sometimes have incredible games. Like, they're playing like they're the best team in the world, and then in a best-of-3 final series or knockout series, if they lose game 2 and get to a game 3, they have a really low win rate on game 3s, I think, because they don't adapt well under that kind of pressure. And it's the same for player personalities, both in terms of drafting, but also in terms of play. Like, some people are less phased by it. A lot of championship teams, the reason they are championship teams is that even though they lose, they don't go on tilt. Old Naudi, for example, countless times in lower brackets, losing the first game of best-of-3 and coming back. That's where, especially, Hockey can get a lot of credit for that from back in the day.
There's your Hulk. It's going to force out the BKB on aggressive. Now Cheeky trying to decide if he wants to go in or not. They do manage to stun CTY. The wards get stolen and trap him in, but he just BKBs. That's Solar Crest, making him nigh impenetrable. And they'll clear out the enemy wards.
Thanks for gold.
Yeah, I guess so. Brewmaster split is available. He should get it off, but there's an overgrowth waiting for this, and it should be dropped here momentarily. But actually, they don't need it. They're just going to right-click down the brew aspect. RTK hooking forward. There's a really nice Q ult from XZ, but now the counter hook by Q, trying to make plays. They just don't have the damage, it seems, Sin. Nobody dies. Gyro is still King Kong. And he'll walk in and start slapping racks again. They're going to hex Brewmaster. Chase onto him. Gets nuked once more. EHOME. Just time to focus on objectives. CTY wants the swag point. So now he's been cliffed and, well, whatever. He'll blink his way out in just a moment. Getting a little clowny here towards the end. But.
Yeah, they're going to keep rocketing the Brew so he can't blink in if he had any plans of doing anything together with Lash. We do have Lightning Storm, which could perhaps... No.
Who are we kidding?
He's a bit of a taunt ult.
EHOME going to give CDEC a bit of a reality check here as they finish polishing off that mid lane. I can only imagine the gold lead is getting completely out of hand at this point. 22-9, 15,000 gold lead. And again, this started so well for CDEC.
This is almost impossible, I know. And it's crazy, because when you looked at the draft, CDEC had so much potential at the start they had. Like, being ahead by 2,000 or 3,000 gold with their lineup at minute 15 is just perfect. They didn't manage, they made a couple of questionable decisions. Brew getting caught out, not getting split off. I think, was it 2 fights in a row, or at least 1 key fight he didn't get it off?
Yeah,
they lost Roche because of it, and the game just snowballed.
What do you want to see from CDEC in Game 3? Oh, hold that thought. That's a hug on to 4 heroes! TK, you magician! Now the Shadow Maid sees opportunity. He's going to Requiem Spirit Bomb Q out of this world. The trap comes out. Then an excellent overgrowth, holding 3 more heroes in position. EHOME are just beating the ever-living crap out of CDEC, and they have had enough of this. And it's time for Game 3. That was just heartbreaking for the game to end that way.
You could feel from the way RTK's hero turned that he was like, oh shit, when he hit that hook shot. I think he saw the Lesh only, and he jumps and the moment he hits this is like, oh wow, I found 4 heroes, how do I get out of here? Instantly
that's like if you're fishing, you know, you cast the line, you get a little bite, and you're like, oh, I got one, and then all of a sudden it's like pulling you into the water.
It still set them up very nicely for the fight. He caught 2 heroes on the cogs. Shadow Fiend is